CDTV has a question, says, thank you for everything you do here. What are your thoughts about Matthew 26:13? You taught earlier that the specific action is not even recorded in all the Gospels. So what does Jesus mean? Let me go to the passage. Matthew 26:13. And surprisingly, I have every verse in the Bible memorized except for this one. It's the only one I don't have memorized. Right. Verse 13 says, truly I say to you, wherever this gospel is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. Okay. Backing up, your thought is, let's go to your evaluation of the passage. You're going to say, hey, this action's not recorded anywhere. Like, we never hear in the Bible, we don't hear anybody telling the story of her. But let me say that there may be some perspective you're missing here. So let me just catch everybody up on what we're reading about. This is Jesus being anointed at Bethany towards the end of his ministry. A woman takes this really expensive ointment and pours it over Jesus, and they complain. And then Jesus is like, hey, she anointed me for my burial. Leave her alone. And what she has done is going to be spoken about wherever the gospel goes. Now, if I go to the book of Acts, I don't actually read about anybody specifically. It's not like Peter got up in Acts 2 to preach the gospel, and he preaches to the people, and it's recorded where Peter goes, and there was a woman from Bethany. We don't have that recorded in Acts 2 or in Acts 5 or Acts 15 or Acts anywhere. It's not in the book of Acts. But I think here's where we're missing the forest through the trees. You see, from the very beginning, the gospel has been attached to the testimony of the apostles, and their testimony is ultimately recorded and solidified or made permanent in the words of Scripture. And for 2,000 years, now all over the place, wherever the gospel has gone, so has the New Testament, so has the Old Testament, but in particular, what was most early circulated and circulated most frequently are going to be, Paul's letters, but also the four Gospels, right? The four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. What I'm saying to you is CDTV, what you might not have noticed, is that this verse, where the gospel went, you either very early on, before the Gospels were written, you had the apostles themselves telling the stories, which would have included this. And then when the apostles were leaving the scene, and we get the writings are, what Justin Martyr called the memoirs of the apostles, interestingly, you have this story being told all over the place. And here right now, we have hundreds and hundreds of people watching as I've just shared it again. There's this woman who did this thing for Jesus, and it was great, So what you may not have realized is that Jesus doesn't say, I will make sure to have you guys record several instances of this story being told in the New Testament. Rather, he keeps the story in the New Testament, and wherever the New Testament goes, so the story goes as well. I think that might have missed the forest through the trees right there. I hope that helps you. Hope that you find that helpful.